Hello and welcome to this first video about why I like certain resources in Local's Bible software. This video is about the Lexham Research Commentary Series, which I will describe and demonstrate using the volume on 1 Thessalonians written by Derek R. Brown. First, I will give a general description of the series in general. Secondly, I will show what the approach of the series looks like for 1 Thessalonians. Thirdly, I will highlight what I like about the series. And finally, I will draw some conclusions, including what not to expect from this series. So let's open the volume on 1 Thessalonians. The Lexham Research Commentaries are a research tool that help you identify areas of debate among biblical scholars on any passage of the Bible. It reviews scholarly works and identifies the main exegetical issues on each passage. And it then provides a summary of the main options for interpretations as found in the literature. The editor and the author of this series, they know that research takes time, and they want to save you time by doing some of the research for you and by presenting the results in a nicely organized, easy to follow format. So let's have a look at the table of contents. Each commentary begins with a brief introduction to the book. It's really brief, and so for more details you want to check out other introductions, but it does give you a summary of the message of the book, the themes of the book, the genre of the book, the composition of the book, including comments on the authorship, the historical setting of the book, and its structure, before it starts discussing each chapter of the book. To demonstrate the commentary on passage level, let's start from scratch and close our panels, and we will open the Bible in 1 Thessalonians 4:13, which is one of the most debated passages in the book. Let's read this passage first. Brothers and sisters, we do not want you to be uninformed about those who sleep in death, so that you do not grieve like the rest of mankind, who have no hope. For we believe that Jesus died and rose again, and so we believe that God will bring with Jesus those who have fallen asleep in him. According to the Lord's word, we tell you that we, who are still alive, who are left until the coming of the Lord, will certainly not precede those who have fallen asleep. For the Lord himself will come down from heaven with a loud command, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet call of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first. After that, we who are still alive and are left will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so we will be with the Lord forever. Therefore, encourage one another with these words. This is the word of the Lord. Now imagine that you are in seminary and you are supposed to write an exegetical or a theological paper on the interpretation of this passage. Now don't take me wrong. The Lexham Research Commentary does not claim to do all the research for you. You still have to read and analyze the passage in Greek or English and do your own exegetical work. But once you have done that, the Lexham Research Commentary comes in very handy, as it will give you an overview of the major exegetical issues in this passage. Instead of looking up 4, 5 or 6 different commentaries on this passage and spending some hours reviewing their opinions, you can have the Lexham Research Commentary do that for you instead, and then quickly skim through their conclusions. So I will open up my passage guide to 1 Thessalonians 4, verse 13, and expand my commentary section with my technical commentaries. Since I have prioritized the Lexham Research Commentaries right under my best technical commentaries, it appears right here. So what the Lexham Research Commentary does, it gives you an overview first of the whole chapter. Since I'm interested mostly in the second part of the chapter, I will look at that section. And then we read the second part of this chapter is one of the most debated passages in the New Testament. Whatever the precise nature of the Thessalonians' concern, Paul offered them a threefold response. First, believers in Christ should not grieve like pagans who have no hope. Second, Paul insists that those still living have no advantage over the dead when it comes to the Lord's return. And third, using vivid apocalyptic language, he delineates the sequence of the Lord's return to demonstrate that the parousia, rather than meaning permanent separation, will unite Christ with all believers, both the living and the dead. Paul concludes his profoundly pastoral advice with a call to comfort those grieving. So here's in a nutshell the main point of the passage, which is a profoundly pastoral counseling. Now the commentary gives a structural outline of the chapter, followed by the place that the passage has within the book. But that's not enough. You also want to know what the place of the passage is in light of the whole canon, which is the focus of biblical theology. In both sections you see that the author is already engaging with some of the commentaries. But this is mostly reserved for the next section, Issues at a Glance. The Lexham Research Commentary on 1 Thessalonians identified at least 5 issues that are exegetically relevant. So let's have a close look at one of these issues, to meet the Lord in the air. The exegetical issue that's being discussed is about the sequence of eschatological events. And here's the power of the Lexham Research Commentary as it identifies the most important exegetical questions. Does the parousia end with believers being caught up in the clouds with Christ to be with him forever? Is Paul's language purely metaphorical at this point? Or are there pieces of the puzzle Paul intentionally left out of his advice in this chapter since they didn't fit his writing purposes? And then it gives an overview of the major viewpoints on these questions found in commentaries and organized by author in alphabetical order. One relevant aspect is that there seems to be a parallel wording between this passage and the Hellenistic tradition of meeting dignitaries, where the leaders of the city would leave the city in order to meet and welcome the dignitary on the road towards the city and accompany him into the city. Best suggests that this has implications for the interpretation of the text, as believers would leave the earth, meet Jesus, and come back to the earth where Jesus will reign. A similar view is expressed by Comfort. But then Gordon Fee strongly argues against an alleged rapture and concludes that Paul didn't intend to say anything about what happens after believers meet with Christ. Then, according to Frame, believers will really leave the earth. And finally, there are 2 views by Holmes and Thomas who argue against the Hellenistic background of meeting dignitaries being anyhow relevant for interpreting this passage. So what we see is that Lexham Research Commentary surveyed the most commonly used commentaries and presented to us the major viewpoints they identified. An extensive list of commentaries that they have consulted is found at the back of the book in the bibliography, where you see many of the commonly used commentaries. Now, the cool thing about having this resource in Logos is that it gives you a summary of a certain commentary's viewpoint, whether you own that resource or not. And if you own that particular resource, you can click the link under the summary and Logos will open it straight to the relevant passage section. Sometimes you don't have a resource, and that's when you see a lock icon. So the open book icon tells me that I own the resource, but the lock icon tells me that I do not own the resource. So if I click the link, Logos gives me the option to quickly buy the book and use it right away. Next, the commentary gives some key word studies that are relevant for this chapter, including the Greek words porneia, harpazo, and apanthesis. Again, it gives a brief summary about the exegetical debate on this term, and then links to a number of dictionaries in your library. And again, some resources are locked because you don't own them, other resources are unlocked, and you can open them straight away and do a more thorough analysis of that key term. Sometimes the commentary offers a section on background studies, in this case on the topic of the resurrection, where some key articles are referenced. And finally, after having discussed the exegetical issues on the passage, the commentary offers some suggestions for application before it continues to the next chapter. So what I very much like about the Lexham Research Commentaries are the following features. It surveys relevant literature on any biblical passages and presents a summary of the major viewpoints. It gives you insights even in commentaries that you don't own, while giving you the opportunity to purchase that commentary if you want. This saves you a lot of prep time, which you can now invest in going even deeper in your own studies. Sometimes commentaries are included that you would not have consulted otherwise, thus giving you a broad range of perspectives on that passage. You may or may not agree with some of the views that you see, but that's not the point. The point in doing research is that you want to know any viewpoint, whether you agree with it or not. And finally, with just a single mouse click, you can open the commentary straight to its relevant section and read the commentary for yourself. Now back to your exegetical paper. Like I said before, the Lexham Research Commentary will not do all research for you, nor will it necessarily offer you all different viewpoints. It will rather focus on the major viewpoints. So there's still a lot for you to do. But once you start engaging with the secondary literature on your passage, that's where the Lexham Research Commentary can save you a lot of time. How do you get this resource? Check out the links in the description of this video below, and if you purchase through my links, a small commission will be given to the work of Bible translation that I do in Papua New Guinea at no additional cost to you. Thank you for your support. I hope you'll like this video, and if you do so, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so we can share these videos with a much larger audience. More of my recommended book can be found on locals.com/Michel Pauw. That's it for today. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.